In BioQuest, tracing the origins of COVID-19, we have been exploring various hypotheses on the origins of the pandemic. While it is possible that the virus that causes COVID-19 originated naturally and jumped from wildlife to humans, it is also possible that the virus had leaked from a lab. We have spoken to whistleblowers and experts who believe that the virus was made in a Chinese lab and deliberately released to wreak havoc. It's important to note here that the possibility that the virus leaked from a lab in China was dismissed by many experts around the world in 2020. But in 2021, the same theory gained so much traction that even the Director General of WHO has admitted that lab leaks do happen, and at this stage it is premature to dismiss a link between a lab leak and the COVID-19 pandemic. In this edition of BioQuest, we will take a deeper look at why the WHO is talking about the need to investigate if the virus had leaked from a Chinese lab. What were the limitations of the first probe into the origins of the pandemic, and why further probing is absolutely essential to know the truth about the origins of COVID-19.
We are asking actually China to be transparent, open, and cooperate, especially on the information raw data that we asked for at the early days of the pandemic.
The first detailed admission by the Director General of WHO that China blocked access to raw data that could have helped WHO-led independent investigators solve the mystery around the origins of COVID-19. The head of WHO also said that it was premature to rule out a potential link between the COVID-19 pandemic and a lab leak.
There was a premature push to, especially reduce one of the options, like the lab theory. As you know, I was a lab technician myself. I'm an immunologist, and I have worked in the lab, and lab accidents happen.
The head of WHO outlined requirements for the second phase of the probe into the origins of COVID-19. Studies of humans, wildlife and animal markets in Wuhan, and audits of relevant laboratories and research institutions operating in the area of the reported outbreak in December 2019. He has indicated that without the requisite data, the second phase of the probe too will be a pointless exercise. So why is the WHO saying this now? The answer lies in the first phase of the probe. The probe concluded that it was very likely that the virus was passed to humans through an unknown animal. And it was extremely unlikely that the virus leaked from a lab in Wuhan. Unable to come to terms with these conclusions, several scientists, researchers and experts have since spoken out. They say that contrary to the conclusions of the first phase of the probe, lab leak is a plausible hypothesis that deserves to be thoroughly investigated, just as the theory of natural emergence. BioQuest spoke to researchers and scientists like Gilles Demonov, Yuri Dagin, Dr. Monali Rahalkar and eminent science writer Nicholas Wade, who explained why lab leak was a possibility that needs to be investigated and not dismissed at the outset. They are only a few of the several experts around the world who believe that it is possible that the COVID-19 virus had leaked accidentally from a lab in China. Several countries too demanded a fair and thorough probe into the origins of COVID-19. One of the earliest global voices calling for a fair and comprehensive probe into the origins of COVID-19 is Jamie Metzel, a US-based technology and healthcare futurist, and is a member of WHO's Expert Advisory Committee on Human Genome Editing. He has written a series of articles on the origins of COVID-19 and was the lead drafter and co-organizer of 4 open letters written by experts from all over the world calling for a comprehensive investigation into the origins of SARS-CoV-2. Jamie's writings and the open letters bring to the fore the limitations in the first phase of the WHO-led probe by independent investigators. The team of investigators did not have the mandate to carry out a comprehensive investigation, and that's why the investigation predominantly focused on examining the natural origins hypothesis, with extremely little effort put into a research-related accident.
Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison proposed early 2020 that the World Health Assembly should authorize a full investigation. But in the World Health Assembly meetings in 2020, that proposal, that idea for a proposal, was defeated. And what was passed was a Chinese-supported resolution not calling for a full investigation into the origins of the pandemic, but calling for essentially a Chinese-controlled joint study into what was called the zoonotic origin of the virus, which means a single hypothesis of natural zoonosis in the wild. That's why I call that resolution the original sin. Because a lab incident origin is highly possible, we need to examine all hypotheses.
The selection process for the International Expert Committee was not transparent, and several of its members had significant conflicts of interest.
4 members of the international team had prior working relationships with the Wuhan Institute of Virology. That alone should have made it entirely inappropriate for any of them to be members of the International Committee. But Peter Daszak had the biggest fundamental conflict of interest that should have absolutely prevented his participation in this committee, and certainly in the role that he played. Because as a significant funder of research in question at the Wuhan Institute of Virology, Peter Daszak's own work would be brought into question with a full investigation of a lab incident origin. And that's why this entire joint study process has been fatally flawed from the get-go.
Jamie's writings and the open letters also point to how no provisions were made to ensure that international experts had access to all relevant records, data and personnel, and even though the experts had requested the Chinese authorities for raw data, it was not provided to them.
They had absolutely no access to records or samples of or personnel at the Wuhan Institute of Virology, the Wuhan CDC, or other Wuhan labs. They had no access to samples taken from the Mojiang mine and other places in Yunnan. This was not an investigation. Even the leaders of the International Committee made abundantly clear that they did not believe this was an investigation. What this was a highly curated, stage-managed, manipulated 2-week study tour. That is very, very different from a full investigation with access to the relevant records and samples in blood banks, in universities, at research centers, everywhere. Very, very little relevant information, relevant raw data was provided to the international investigators.
In this post, originally published on 16th April 2020 and updated regularly since, Jamie writes about why he thinks there is a good chance that the COVID-19 virus leaked from a lab.
Certainly we know it's possible for a pandemic like this to begin from a jump from animals to humans in the wild, because many past outbreaks have started that way. But this particular outbreak started in Wuhan. We know that the SARS-CoV-2 virus has a backbone virus from horseshoe bats, and Wuhan is 1,000 miles away from the natural migratory range of those bats. But what Wuhan does have is the Wuhan Institute of Virology and the Wuhan CDC, with the world's largest collection of bat coronaviruses, that was doing aggressive work designed to make those viruses more pathogenic. We know that those labs had done extensive collections in mines and abandoned mines in Yunnan province in southern China, where a number of miners had become sick and some had died in 2012 as a result of a likely infection from a bat virus. And we know that following the outbreak, China engaged in a massive cover-up to cover up the fact that the virus on day 1 was very significantly pre-adapted to infecting human cells.
After the US State Department put out this fact sheet alleging that the Chinese military was engaged in secret animal pathogen research at the Wuhan Institute of Virology, Jamie asked China's lead coronavirus researcher Shi Zhengli during a webinar if she was fully aware of the role of Chinese army in the research being carried out at the WIV.
Are the U.S. government claims of classified Chinese military research being carried out at the WIV correct? And if so, did you have full awareness of and access to all aspects of this research?
At the beginning of the COVID-19, we heard the rumors that it's claimed that in our laboratory we have some project blah blah with the army, blah blah, this kind of rumors. But this is not correct.
If she is lying, And certainly there is a massive contradiction between what she is saying and what the United States government has said regarding a PLA involvement with the WIV. If she is lying, that means that she loses all of her credibility as a source. And because she is the only source saying that the Wuhan Institute of Virology did not have either SARS-CoV-2 or a precursor virus to it in its repository prior to the outbreak, if she lost her credibility, then basically the entire argument against a lab incident origin would go away. It is just outrageous that the full case against a lab incident origin is based on one person's unverified word that the Wuhan Institute of Virology did not carry those viruses in its repositories prior to the outbreak. It is an absolute outrage that the Wuhan Institute of Virology, the Wuhan CDC, have not allowed a full forensic investigation and audit examining their records, their samples, interviewing personnel. This is the kind of investigation that would happen anywhere on Earth, and it must happen in China.
While Xi Zhengli claims the Chinese military was not engaged in any research at the Wuhan Institute of Virology, the US intelligence and Chinese whistleblowers like Dr. Li Mengyan that BioQuest spoke to earlier believe that the Chinese People's Liberation Army was closely associated with secret animal research with highly contagious viruses in Chinese labs, including the Wuhan Institute of Virology, without notifying the WHO. Jamie Metzl collated investigative reports and research work done by scientists and experts, pointing to the possibility that the COVID-19 virus may have accidentally leaked from a Chinese lab. In fact, Jamie reproduced excerpts from several articles and analyses, pointing the finger at a systematic effort to obfuscate the truth around the origins of COVID-19 and undermine attempts to uncover what went on in Chinese labs before and after the outbreak. Here are some of those damning revelations. Jamie goes on to illustrate steps taken by China since the beginning of the COVID-19 crisis, which she alleges make for a cover-up. Quoting from the Daily Telegraph, Jamie writes, on 31st December, Chinese authorities started censoring news of the virus from search engines, deleting terms including SARS variation, Wuhan seafood market and Wuhan unknown pneumonia. Also, the Chinese closed the seafood market the day after notifying the WHO and sent in teams with strong disinfectants. Samples from animals were taken, but 4 months later, the results have not been shared with foreign scientists. Jamie writes that though it was clear early on that the novel coronavirus outbreak did not originate in the seafood market, Chinese officials held on to the story until late May 2020. To buttress his point, he quotes from this Lancet article dated 15th February 2020 that concludes that 34% of the earliest 41 confirmed COVID-19 cases from Wuhan had no contact with the market, and no epidemiological link was found between the first patient who developed symptoms on 1st December 2019 and the later cases.
That made it pretty clear to me that the Wuhan seafood market was not the place where the outbreak began, but an amplifier. And it was very curious to me that I thought the Chinese government must have known that, and yet they continued with that story, essentially continued to propagate what they almost certainly knew was a lie or a likely lie all the way until May of 2020 when they changed course. In my mind, that raised a lot of questions. Why was the Chinese government lying about the origins of the pandemic? We are all subject to a Chinese propaganda campaign designed to make it look more likely that this pandemic has a natural origin, a zoonotic jump from animals to humans in the wild, and less likely that it has a lab incident origin. And that's why China has bent over backwards to promote the idea of natural origins.
Jamie then goes on to list how Chinese authorities ordered the destruction of COVID-19 samples from the very beginning of 2020. Quoting from a report of the Beijing-based media group Caixin Global, Jamie writes, on 1st January, an employee of a genomics company in Wuhan received a phone call from an official at the Hubei Provincial Health Commission, ordering the company to stop testing samples from Wuhan related to the new disease and to destroy all existing samples. He then quotes from this article published in Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists that says that on the same day, Wuhan Institute of Virology's Director General Yan Yi Wang messaged her colleagues saying the National Health Commission told her that the lab's COVID-19 data shall neither be published on social media nor disclosed to the media. 2 days later, the commission asked laboratories to destroy COVID-19 samples or send them to the depository institutions designated by the state. Jamie writes that the Chinese government closed the laboratory in Shanghai that first published the genome of COVID-19 on 10th January. Quoting from this article published in Nature, Jamie writes about how the Chinese government banned all researchers from publishing anything on the origins of COVID-19 without prior approval of the Ministry of Science and Technology or Ministry of Education.
The Chinese government has been very, very clear from the beginning that any Chinese scientists who write or say anything about pandemic origins without prior government approval will be punished. There are criminal penalties in China for scientists for speaking out about this terrible pandemic that has killed many, many millions of people around the world. This is simply an outrage.
Jamie draws attention to this Chinese preprint that was released in February 2020 but was retracted later. As per the preprint, somebody was entangled with the evolution of the 2019 novel coronavirus that probably originated from a laboratory in Wuhan. The preprint also called for regulations to relocate such laboratories far away from the city center and other densely populated places. Jamie also writes about an incident involving a researcher at the Wuhan Institute of Virology, who publicly accused the director of the institute of selling lab-infected animals to vendors through a post on Chinese social media site Weibo, but later claimed her account was hacked and denied that she had made that allegation. Quoting from this article, published in Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists, Jamie writes about how Chinese authorities have gone to great lengths to silence anyone in China who might be in a position to provide evidence on the origins of COVID-19. The Chinese government cracked down on Chinese whistleblowers like businessman Fang Bin, lawyers Zhang Zhan and Chen Qiushi, and former state television reporter Li Zehua for speaking out against China's response to the pandemic.
A number of Chinese citizen journalists like Zhang Zhan were asking very tough questions about the origins of the pandemic. And they were doing so for very good reason, because people in China and around the world were and are suffering. And it is deeply unfortunate that citizen journalists like this, rather than being welcomed and encouraged, have been imprisoned. Zhang Zhan is in prison now. Other citizen journalists have disappeared, and there's been a very clear message by the Chinese government to others that you better not ask tough questions about how this terrible crisis began.
While quoting from this Associated Press report, Jamie asserts that the clampdown in China comes from the top.
There is absolutely no doubt that the clampdown on all examination of the origins of the pandemic, particularly anything associated with a lab incident origin, comes from the very top. This is a highest level decision that no examination of a possible lab incident origin will be allowed. The Chinese government is a stakeholder in a non-laboratory origin, and that is simply outrageous. And whatever the origin of the initial outbreak, there is absolutely no doubt that the criminal cover-up by the Chinese government is what allowed this initial outbreak to grow into the kind of terrible global pandemic that we're all experiencing.
Accusing China of keeping the World Health Organization in the dark, Jamie makes a reference to this article in Associated Press that describes how WHO officials complained in internal meetings that even though they were making repeated requests to the Chinese authorities for more data, their requests were falling on deaf ears. He further writes about the heavy price that the world paid because China delayed informing the WHO about the outbreak.
Many people have been critical of the World Health Organization for its response to this pandemic. But we need to be clear that the World Health Organization is an organization governed by states. In the earliest days of the pandemic, China was essentially lying to the WHO, providing information that the Chinese government knew was false, and the WHO didn't have its own independent surveillance capabilities that would have empowered it to challenge those assertions. In the earliest days of the pandemic, the WHO wanted to send its emergency teams to Wuhan, but they had to wait more than 3 weeks for visas. And in that time, China was carrying out its massive cover-up. It was failing in such a fundamental manner, which is what allowed this stove fire to become a kitchen fire, to become a world fire.
Jamie also shares instances indicating that China deliberately hid the magnitude of the pandemic and misled the world on it. Quoting from the Washington Post, Jamie writes, on 14 January 2020, in a confidential teleconference with provincial health officials, the head of China's National Health Commission said that the situation was severe and complex and that the risk of transmission and spread is high. Well, the very next day, the head of China's Disease Control Emergency Center announced on state television that the risk of sustained human-to-human transmission is low, and the same message was delivered to the World Health Organization. Quoting from this CNN article, Jamie writes about how local health authorities in the province of Hubei, where the virus was first detected, listed 5,918 newly detected cases on the 10th of February, more than double the official number. But China never fully revealed the actual number, as it chose to downplay the severity of COVID-19.
The Chinese government has actively lied to the World Health Organization and the world. It lied about human-to-human transmission when the Chinese government knew there was human-to-human transmission but told the WHO that there wasn't. It lied about the numbers of deaths inside of China and certainly in Wuhan as a way of downplaying the magnitude of the crisis. And as a result of these lies and this obfuscation, the entire world is at much greater risk. Many people are dead because of China's lies and obfuscation, particularly in the critical first month following the outbreak, when this entire crisis could have been prevented.
In light of a systematic effort to suppress information and destroy evidence linked to the origins of the COVID-19 pandemic, Jamie has joined several countries and experts in demanding a full and unrestricted international forensic investigation into the origins of COVID-19 with full access to all relevant data, lab records, biological samples, and people in China and beyond. With China refusing to cooperate in a thorough probe, experts like Jamie Metzl believe a probe can still be undertaken without China's participation.
There's no doubt that we need a comprehensive investigation into pandemic origins with full access to all relevant record samples and personnel in China. We don't have that, and we need it. The question then is, who can deliver that kind of investigation? In an ideal world, the World Health Organization could take the lead. But it's very, very clear that China is doing everything possible to block that type of full World Health Organization-led investigation. If that's not the case, then what I believe should happen is first that every country should establish its own national COVID-19 Origins Commission, and we need an international mechanism bringing countries together in some other way that China can't block, and whether that's through the Quad, the OECD, G7, or others, to come together and carry out the fullest possible investigation into pandemic origins. And even if China does not participate, even if China continues to do everything possible to block access to all of its records and samples, there is a great deal that the rest of the world can and must do. There are lots of records available outside of China. We need to get our research communities involved, our intelligence community involved, because one thing should be absolutely clear to everybody. The Chinese government cannot have a veto over whether or not we investigate the worst pandemic in a century.
The question now is, will the second phase of the WHO-led probe address the concerns raised by experts like Jamie Metzl and clear the haze around the origins of COVID-19? Thanks for watching.